For instance, there's some very successful business guru out there who's talking about how he went to Harvard and he's this Harvard graduate, but then if you look into it, he just did like a 3-week business training program at Harvard. Not even a Harvard graduate at all. Just totally BS. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Learn how to book meetings with billion-dollar brands and take your company to the next level at email10k.com. Let's talk about some cold calling techniques and how to sell using 3 emotional triggers. I'm not the biggest fan of cold calling, but I have done thousands of cold calls. I think cold email works better, like we talk about in our course, Email 10K. But I'll tell you, back when I used to call local businesses all the time, I would sell 100% with logic. I would try to push and convince people that our platform was the best. It was for a startup out in New York City. And I would try to push and convince people that our platform was the best and they need to jump on it right now. I would even show them articles and data and link them to things to show them that our platform was the best tool for them to use right now. But then I realized the things that convince me to buy are not logical, fact-based arguments. Sure, I'll use logic and facts to justify a decision, but there's an emotional reaction that happens first before we go and seek out all of the data. So that got me interested in emotional triggers, and it's something that I've learned and we've used now to grow our businesses past 7 figures. Anytime you hit a plateau, you need to find a new thing to take you over the next level, and logic got us here. Using emotional triggers got us here, above the camera, way up there. You can't even see it. My hand might be 15 feet tall. That's how big of a difference it is. Logic, emotion. Logic, emotion.
So tall.
So that's what we're talking about today. Logic has its place, but especially when it comes to cold calls or selling or presenting in any way, if you can hit some emotional triggers, your conversion rates will skyrocket. And what we're about to talk about works wonders in cold calls and sales emails, on sales calls, etc. So stick around, this is very valuable stuff. One of the first emotional triggers I learned was get it in their hands. I sold marshmallows for a while for an upstart e-commerce brand. We were in the Sanford Mall in Sanford, Florida. And I was a consultant helping them take their e-commerce brand offline. They wanted to do some retail. They actually ended up with a very nice retail store after all this. But during the experiment, we were in the mall at a little kiosk. And I would always make sure, whenever anyone walked up, to give not only a free sample of the product, but to actually hand them a box of marshmallows that they could hold, they could look at the ingredients, etc., while I was roasting this marshmallow for them. And the thing is, if they took that box from me initially, they almost always bought. And these were $12 boxes of marshmallows. They weren't exactly cheap. I'm convinced now they could have been $15, $16, even $30, and the same strategies would have worked. So if you can get it in their hands, that is a strong emotional trigger because now they're bonding with it emotionally. This can also work for software if you give them a free trial, or during the demo if you use whatever data they want. So for instance, let's say you're demoing a lead generation tool. You can ask them, what's a company that you really want to get info on? Get the company name from them and just show them how this tool would actually work. Emotionally, now they're seeing themselves using the tool, which would make it very hard for them to say no. This even counts for marketing reviews, like our no-brainer offer that we talk about in the Email 10K course. The reason why the marketing review, even though we were charging $12,000 for it, almost always sold them on $120,000 afterward, is because during the review, we would show them all of the things that we could do. So we were showing them all of the future things their business could have, all the future results their business could have if they managed their social media correctly, if they did video marketing, if they did cold email, etc. Now in their head, they're seeing it like it's already happening. So when we take that review away at the end, and we're like, okay, this is the end of our engagement, or you can sign on the 6-figure line and do a much larger engagement with us, at that point, they're already so emotionally bought in, they'll say yes. It's also important to make sure you're targeting people that have the money, which is also something we talk about in Email 10K. Then at the end, we offered to implement it if they paid us, and they almost always said yes. The conversion rate from $12,000 marketing review to $120,000 project was something like 80%. Almost everybody that bought that marketing review went on to buy the engagement with us. And that was millions of dollars. That's insane. The second emotional trigger that I like to play with is honesty. And you might be thinking, oh, I'm already honest. Well, maybe you are, maybe you're not. Because in this space, at least the space that I play around in, the internet marketing space, almost everyone is lying. For instance, there's some very successful business guru out there who's talking about how he went to Harvard and he's this Harvard graduate, but then if you look into it, he just did like a 3-week business training program at Harvard. Not even a Harvard graduate at all. Just totally BS. So what you want to do is position yourself against that. That's why a lot of times I'll talk about the downsides of cold email. How personalization is a grind, how you are going to have to put real time into this, but if you do, it works out. But when I say that and I'm honest about the drawbacks, the customer, the viewer, the listener, whoever, believes me more about the benefits. Basically, cold email's cheap and you can sell to people who you'd never be able to contact via ads. You find your exact clients and you can go directly for them and make massive amounts of money off them. And that's what we've seen with hundreds of our cold email students. People that pay 10 times more to do the work that you're already doing. $50,000 websites instead of $500 websites. Go to Email 10K to learn more. The third emotional trigger I like to use is credibility. And you can get this from being on other people's channels, other people's podcasts. And an example of this is when I say that I've been on Entrepreneur on Fire twice, which very rarely happens, by the way. Most people are only on there once. I was on there 2 times. Or that our companies consistently hit the Inc. 5000. We have multiple clients that have hit the Inc. 5000. Or that I've been featured on Forbes, Huffington Post, Inc. Or that I'm a member of YEC, the Young Entrepreneurs community, which requires verified earnings of over $1 million. All of that is credibility boosting, so find what you can say that increases your credibility. The fourth thing you can do is compare your thing to competitors. We do this all the time with our cold email versus advertising war that we have going on. So a good thing that I could say, a good example is I could say that paid ads have a minimum investment of $20,000 and it's a spray and pray approach. But cold email, you can start it for free and you can target specific companies that are willing to pay. Just by showing it like that, you want to do cold email. So you can do the same thing for your company. You talk about how bad your competitors are and how good you are next to each other. How much lower is your price? How much better is your guarantee? How much better is your effectiveness? Just show that side by side. So to review, the 4 triggers that you can use on your cold calls or your demos to get more sales are, number 1, get it in their hands. 2, use honesty to your advantage. Build credibility by using media mentions. And compare your thing to competitors. By the way, I got a ton more of these triggers if you want them. If you want to hear more and you want a part 2, let me know down in the comments below. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. So you don't have a business idea, huh? Do you want to know what the best business to start is, regardless of market conditions? Check out the free presentation at email10k.com. We have over 200 students that are crushing it using this business strategy, even during this time. So check that out, email10k.com. Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to subscribe if you want more content like this. Like this video to encourage this type of content. Just smash that like button because YouTube loves when you like it. It helps us rank higher, helps us build the community out a little bit more. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.